Using thermal imaging. So this is a FLIR thermal imaging camera. You should be able to see me in there, red, orange, and yellow guy. You probably recognize this from some of your TV shows. This is a FLIR, so this is not an app you guys are going to be able to go home and download, just so you guys know. I point out that I'm the red, orange, and yellow guy, and I think it'll work in my favor tonight. That means I'm the hottest thing inside the frame right now. Oh. Yeah, that's why I point that out. So why would we want to use a thermal imaging camera? How so?
Capture something from another plane.
Not heat. I'm the heat right now. They're cold. Right. So we're looking for cold spots. We are looking for blue and black in these cameras. So with this particular camera, with the blue and black, it's always going to be there because glass is always going to be colder than the ambient temperature out here. Ambient out here for us, just so you know, is about 80 degrees. So glasses and aluminum cans on the ground are always going to be colder than that. I'm looking for that blue and black to either move or to take shape when I'm spot checking your video. When I say take shape, I want a head, shoulders, moving arms, and legs. That's what we've caught with this guy in the past. That's hopefully what we'll capture again. However, I always like to give you guys stats about this equipment. I'm not a TV show host. I get about 4 or 5 pieces every year that I would put my stamp of approval on from this camera, not 4 to 5 per episode. Okay, you guys got the point on that? Yeah. I hope so. So with this particular camera, I think top right on yours. There you go. What we're going to do is we're going to cover the history and we're going to spread out. Those of you with cameras will stay away from the one truck that's over here. We will stay within the confines of the lot. I'll do 1 or 2 round robins with all of you to see what's going on with your devices, and then I bring you back here to show you how it all tied together. Keep in mind, communication devices. This is where I start withholding information on purpose. I will not be giving you questions here like what color was George Washington's white horse, like what we did with the big red barn. You will be getting the answers from your different devices that you're using. So let's kind of get started of why you're in a parking lot. Congrats, you made it. I told you I'd take you to weird spots. So this just happens to be one of them. No other tour comes here because there's nothing to see. But it does allow my larger groups like this to be able to spread out and be able to investigate where you're not all influencing one another. You'll see that as we kind of move about. Now, what is this place? This used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion. Their mansion sat in the front of the space facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with 5 Church Restaurant, came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. That's the layout of the land. Who the hell were these people? Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 Chucks, in case you weren't paying attention. I need to know which one it is. That's why we look for those secondary clues in the event that somebody gets the name Charles. Hopefully somebody has a secondary clue so I can know how to address that particular Charles. The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. Big deal for us, but I hate politics more than all of you combined. We're going to move on. If I don't give the gentleman that recognition about signing the Constitution, they will do it for me in a nasty manner through a spirit box. So I do my very best every night to remember to give them that recognition and then move on.
That's pretty prevalent? That happens pretty often?
Enough to where I can say I need to make sure I give them that respect. So again, I've been coming here for 4.5 years.
Okay.
So
cool.
Now, with this, we're going to be talking about Eliza specifically. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards. What do you have? When I say she married him at a young age according to today's standards, it's because if you're going to ask her how old she was, do not expect numbers like 12 and 14 from the colonial days that she came from when young ladies got married at that age. Only because the husband was over double her age. It was creepy then, it's creepy now, just so you guys have that idea. Now, moving on. She married him because her father was over in England, where they're all from, and the father thinks he's dying. He's trying to bring all of his kids home one last time. Eliza didn't believe he was dying, and instead she stayed put right here and got married. It's 1744. You don't get married in that year to get a green card because we are not a country yet. This is a true love story, if nothing else. So there's nothing horrific about this location, just so you guys know. If anything, it's a place of respect. So back to Eliza. She was right. Dad did not die right away, and instead he starts sending her gifts from England to where you're standing. One of those gifts happens to be the plant seeds of indigo. That's a plant that makes blue dye that makes your blue jeans blue. A lot of you guys are wearing it tonight because that's how we use it. When she got those seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. She learned from her servants and slaves how to keep it going because, believe it or not, it's not always hot here in case you're not from here. Then she learned how to make the dye, moved it to a cash crop, got a hold of her father and told him that the rice plantations are going downhill. We're going to make a killing with the indigo. And now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times, something absolutely unheard of. So again, this is a place of respect. What's going to happen with this from now on?
7.2.
Nice, got it. I'll take note.
Well, 7.2.
Yeah, so it's, well,
it changes a lot.
Yeah, that's what you want. So if it was coming from a man-made object, it would hover around that
7.2 again.
So we're going to see how high we can actually get it. So that's your new baseline. Don't give me anything below 7.2 while we're here.
Yes, sir.
So what's going to happen with all the communication devices, I'm going to assign you guys focus questions. Keep in mind, we do have 3 cameras running, my voice recorder, and if you're asking a question, that answer can go anywhere. So all of you listening to spirit boxes, you're going to tell me all that silly shit that you're hearing, because you don't know what other people are asking. If you go rogue, just be respectful. No yes, no questions. You guys got the point, right? Perfect. All right, so Brad and Melissa, you guys have the same type of spirit box. You two are going to be focused on Eliza's death. She's
Okay.
pretty open about talking about it. The 4 major questions we get answers to: how old she was when she died, what she died from, where she's buried, and what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So again, very specific questions. If you go rogue, just you get the point.
Right.
Moving on. So word list. Where's my word list? So that would be Brian and Adam. Your devices are going to hopefully work in sync. So Adam, you're going to be looking for her initials in full. ELP, no anagram. I want them in that order because Brian's going to be looking for what the L stands for. The reason why is because Eliza that I just talked about is the second wife named Eliza. The first wife also had a maiden name that started with the letter L. This way we know that we're dealing with the correct Eliza. So kind of be focused on that. Kaylina, yours is going to be focused on the mansion. It's not here anymore. Your device only gives us 1 to 2 syllables at a time. So if you get the, hey, what happened to the mansion answer, or if somebody else gets it, we often get 2 or 3 numbers from the date of when that tragedy occurred. I'm giving you a clue it was a tragedy. So again, I'm not saying focus on the tragedies, ask the question, see if you get an answer. But again, you don't know that Brad's not going to get the answer. So that's the whole fun part about this, is that we never know where these answers are actually going to fall. So I'm going to have, yeah, so once we spread out, I'm going to keep Adam behind with me just so I can show him a little bit more about that device. And I'm going to do round robins and answer more questions about your guys' devices as we're kind of going through this location. So we'll probably do about 2 round robins with this spot. Again, cameras move slowly when you're moving around because I do watch them in fast forward. Much easier to find an anomaly if it's going in fast forward. So the slower you move, the easier it's going to be able to find something. Boys, any other numbers I need to know about out of yours from this location? So we got a 7.2 out of yours. Perfect. All right, we're on track. You guys get to work. I'm going to keep Adam with me. Spread out. Let's do this.
The whole parking lot.
The whole lot's yours. So just stay away from the white truck.
All right, I'm gonna lock in.
All right, your device is the only one that's truly operational.
I think I heard. I feel like I heard murder. Could be wrong. Tough because where he's got it so slowed down, you're like catching all the radio stations.
is free. Maria? My arms are getting tired from holding it. My arms are getting tired from holding it. I don't know how it ever does it. Mine can hear.
Oh.
Are y'all getting anything?
A lot of trees.
Yeah. I'm getting a lot of car window shield.
The last two of the ones that come over. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, Emily, you're one I haven't talked to.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, with yours, nice slow movements. Obviously, if you could try to keep somebody in focus, just because we are the warmest thing out here. That's why I make the joke at the beginning.
Okay.
It just kind of helps me. When I'm in this location, though, I'm sure you notice that the ground is all different shades.
Yeah.
That's because it's made out of different material. So water is obviously going to be cooler than gravel, and so forth and so on. So that's why you have all of the different shades that are happening on the ground. But I'm sure, I don't know if you noticed, but if you, for example, just pointed at the wall, for example, the wall should be, you know, pretty warm, but keep it right there, and watch what happens when my hand comes into view. The wall turned into a cooler color because it's in perspective of my hand.
Okay.
So my hand is now the warmest thing in there.
Yeah.
So that's why when I take it out, the wall should turn that bright yellow, almost white. So that's why this is unfortunately even a downgrade. Somebody broke my upgrade. I'm still waiting on the insurance to get me my new one. But the other one would actually give you the temperatures bouncing around the screen, so you always knew where the coldest spot was. And I was like, I want that damn camera back so bad. Luckily, I still had this one in my retired box. I'm like, it is what it is. But yeah, this is like literally the coolest camera I have to watch, just because it teaches you so much just by watching it.
Yeah.
So even when I'm spot checking it, it does pick up on audio. So in case there's any disembodied voices, you guys will be able to capture those. But with the cold spots in here, I'm normally watching the walls because the ground is too wishy-washy.
Okay,
so
so
I'm looking
that's
for,
where I need to angle it at, because I didn't know if I needed it higher or lower.
Nope.
Okay.
And again, even when, like for our next location, I'll kind of tell everybody, keep it at that belly level, just because we're going to be in a place where there might be other tours. I don't like to make people feel uncomfortable if we're filming, because they didn't pay to get filmed like you guys did. So I usually say just kind of keep it at that belly level. Even if you're not watching it, get us the footage, we can watch it later on. And that goes for all 3 cameras when we're going out and about. But between yours and Oceana's, like, they're not large cameras, so I don't always follow up with them in real time. I'm going to throw them up on YouTube so you guys can watch them on your TV. I watch them on a computer screen, so obviously I can see a lot more versus the tiny little cell phone screen.
Yeah.
So again, if I'm not following up with you as much, now you know why.
Okay.
So again, with the cameras, I try to find the quiet people out of the group because they're great, like, non-commentators, as they kind of just sit there and film. But it's perfect. So that's kind of like, oh, do you talk a lot? And he's like, nope, she doesn't talk at all. So, but even still, like, we would have, with just me, you, and Brad, like, you would have probably been using that. He would have been using a spirit box. I would have had the word list and an EMF meter on me. So we would have still had a well-rounded, a little bit of everything to see what's going on. But yeah, you're pretty much using the tools you would have used the other night anyway.
Okay. Well, it works out.
About another half a round robin just to see what's going on, and then yank us all back, just so you know. So we're going to see it. We don't have a lot going on here just yet.
And when we're on our way to another location, do I need to stop it
yeah.
and then start it every time we get to one? Okay.
And what I do with all the little videos that you guys create is I splice them all together, so there's one video for each camera. So that's usually what takes the longest amount of time. So it gives me an opportunity to review everything else, type up the rest of the notes while I'm waiting on the video, and then I can watch that, and then I'm done.
Okay.
So that's how I'm able to do everything. But all 3 cameras, they all need hooked up separately because they all use 3 different types of files. So I've kind of turned into an AV nerd by doing this too, so that way I can do things in a timely manner. I can tell how haunted things were. By the end of the night, you'll have your score, and your full report of 8 pages is fully typed up and ready to go.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I splice them all together for 1 per camera. So you'll probably take anywhere between like 5 to 7 videos tonight. I just put them all together. So we don't like to recreate the Blair Witch Project. All right, Brad, you got anything else? Do what? You got anything else? Part of the reason why I gave you this one specifically is so that they can help you. That way you guys can almost huddle up and kind of listen in together to kind of see how it goes. So again, this one is, even though it's the most accurate, it's the hardest one, just because you don't know when you're going to get a sound. So, but I think I'm going to yank this all back at this point. What numbers have we had out of your guys' devices? Small little guys. So Paul, did you get anything out of yours?
I did get like the seal or the fire. Apparently that's what happened to the house right now.
I need to keep mine belly level.
Huh?
I need to keep mine belly level.
Oh, is it the seal? Alright guys, let's head to the back. Let's see what we got going on here.
wind finish swinging. It was good.
Yeah.
But,
Nothing. Nothing specific anyway.
nothing in response.
Not that it matters, but I got a constant 2.3 in that corner over there for about 10 seconds.
That's pretty long. That's probably from a man-made object. You probably
Okay.
got it from that lamp post.
Ah,
I'm
gotcha.
guessing. So what I'm kind of, I hate to say like disappointed, but like 2 out of 7 nights a week, we don't get a whole lot of high EMF. I think the highest we actually had was coming out of yours. That was like a 7.6. Yeah,
or
7.9.
7.6.
Whatever I wrote down, because that was what I wrote down when you
Yeah.
told me. But normally this location gives me between an 18 to a 22. So let me explain what the EMF is based on things around your home, so you kind of have an idea of why I'm looking at that number specifically. Your TV set gives off about a 40 to a 60 milligauss. So your microwave heating up your food is going to go to about 150 to 170 based on the wattage of your microwave. The highest I've ever seen those devices go has been here. And that's been the ones that Paul and Dominic have. They actually go up to 200. I've watched those error out, which means it went over 200 milligauss while we were in this space. I've been ghost hunting for about 15 years. This is the space where I keep getting those kind of numbers. And I've gotten triple digits the remainder of that 15 minutes in between those erroring out. I will tell you, we left. I have epilepsy. That's too much electricity in the air for the guy with the neurological disorder. That's why I called you guys my safety directors. So that's why I always like to kind of see if I can gauge you guys and spread you guys out a little bit, so that way we can see what we got going on. We got a bunch of little 2s and 3s. I'm not like super excited about those based on the location, but those numbers would be very exciting at other locations, just because you got to know your baselines. There is no electricity in here, just so you guys know. So the poles are too far away because the transformers are pretty high up. But that little corner lamppost might still have some electricity in it. That's why that 2.3 that you had, I'm not super excited about it. Another 2.9. So let's kind of cover the answers. I'll show you what I'm excited about as I kind of go through these. Again, if you have a camera, by all means hit that stop button. So that channel dozens of times. It's just his little nod to let us know he's here. If you're going to try this on your own without me, because I can't take you all the way through here, I've been kicked out. We're going to talk about that because that's the fun part of the story. Now, he's like, oh yeah, finally, something fun. But anyway, so if you're going to use your voice recorders, just remember every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street, we all throw a whistle down this alley. So again, they're usually pretty easily debunkable, but I do have some in the background that I have no idea where they came from, and it's usually from a camera. So it's not always on a direct voice recorder. So you'll see that like as we kind of go through your findings when I go through your data. Now, let's talk about how I got kicked out of here, because that's the fun part. Now, the alley didn't always go all the way through the way we came in. There used to be a wall up there. The reason why is because this used to be called Cow Alley before it was Dueler's Alley. They kept all the livestock down here, hence the name Cow Alley. So cows, chickens, and goats are down here. Why the hell am I telling you this? The alley on the other side is older than the bricks that we're standing on. So those bricks down there are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child down there with fingerprint swipes and others. I used to take my groups all the way through for a history lesson. You already know how I feel about cemeteries. That kid's not going to be there staring at that brick. So November 26th of 2020, I took my entire group down there to give them their little history lesson so we can all see how far we've come from slavery, and they all stopped and huddled around that brick, same size of the group we have tonight. I'm trying to shoot them along because I know nothing's going to happen with the gear. However, we're also standing outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I'm just trying not to be rude, like outside the dining room window, not realizing we were out of bounds. The new owner of that mansion came out screaming. My daughter was on the tour that night and thought it was hysterical that her father was getting yelled at, and we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving because I worked in upper management for Walmart for over 10 years. You all like to fight over towels on Thanksgiving, and you scarred me for life. So I will never work another Thanksgiving ever. Now, moving the next day was the 28th of November. The dates are relevant. I'm going to get to it. And I called my partner that brought me into tourism that I used to work with, and I told him what happened, trying to figure out what to do next. He laughed at me just like my daughter did. He's like, dude, you're only allowed to go down halfway. Otherwise, you got to reroute your group, man. That's residential down there. So what I told my group that night was, I don't believe in the story up and around the corner, which is, unfortunately for us, is the story we're not doing tonight because of what's going on with the cemetery. But I told them, I'm into vampires, not pirates, and I've never had anything happen over there. I didn't tell them which pirate we were going to be investigating, but before we left, somebody with a spirit box heard the name Anne. I didn't tell them it was going to be Anne Bonny that we were going to be investigating. Yeah, we go up and around the corner. I told them what I did know about piracy in Charleston, which wasn't much because I only had a quick day to research, and remember, it wasn't a topic of interest for me. And somebody else heard the number 300 coming out of another spirit box.
7.6 when you said that.
Nice. So the 300, I have no idea what that means. I wrote it down and did the research. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300th anniversary of her pirate trial. So I normally get that's pretty cool shit. I was actually quite pissed off. The reason why, I actually have a master's degree in creative writing. When I'm doing anything dealing with writing and research, especially ghost hunting, I need facts and data. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. What'd you get? I want to see where it goes. Like, I want to see what disease they're talking about. So we'll kind of see where it goes.
Alright, I'll update you if you anything else.
Yeah, I'll ask you before the space what the last 3 words were. Now, where we're going up and around the corner, I'm going to be taking us over to this crazy cemetery. Every ghost tour stops there, but we are in the month of June getting very, very close to the exact anniversary of what happened over there. Of course, I'll explain it once we get there. Before we leave this space, what have we heard? What have we seen? Like, talk to me. What do we have? Anything I need to write down? I know, like, you're on mute right now, Kaylina, so anybody else have heard anything?
You're surrounded, yellow.
I got disease and under just came up after that.
So the color yellow shows up here often. Let me explain why. There's also a very specific number that shows up here often, normally in doubles. But the house that I told you that Dr. Live lived in, 59 Church Street, is a giant yellow house. So it is well known to be yellow. So what was the other, I'm sorry, the rest of the other terms?
Disease, under, older. Those are the most recent ones. Since we've been back here, after Jewish, I got taken ice.
They're haunted stairs.
Oh, we're going to let them pass through before we leave the space.
Sir, guys, there's another group of the rails that we're going to huddle on the far side, alright? Sorry to interrupt, guys.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay.
Still more.
Huh?
My neck is so itchy.
Yeah, there's a strap over my neck.
You've not heard anything?
I mean, I wasn't listening when he was talking because I didn't want to.
Anything spelled out for us?
I would assume.
I got an eye at one point.
You got a 9 just now, he says. Switching it.
Yeah,
They laugh.
Anything on the cameras that I need to know about that you guys may have seen while we were here? Yeah, her camera is super small, so with her specifically, I don't always follow up in real time because it is so small, and I send all the videos to YouTube just so you guys know. So that way you guys
Follow you on YouTube?
if you want, it's going to be all the cool stuff. It's like a database.
I'm not a doctor.
I'm not a doctor.
It wasn't that much, but I play one on TV.
I know.
There's like 2 different voices. It's like, I'm not, and then doctor.
Anything else that I need to know before we leave this space? So I always like to point out the gate behind me too before we leave them, just to give it no stalling so they can actually get out of the alley first. So not a whole lot of people know why this gate is actually here. I want you to notice that the archway is definitely part of the original wall here. But in the event that there was a loser to the duel, remember that there was a wall up here. So instead of going all the way down to Queen Street and doubling back with the dead body, they created this archway with the doorway so that way they can get to the cemetery quicker. So again, I call this the death gate. The wrought iron was probably put here in the early 1900s because the property separated. But again, the archway is definitely part of the original wall. Like you can see all of the original brick injury. Look, injury. Just want something more specific on that injury. Is it on the word list or what you heard? What you heard? Okay, perfect. So when we get up and around that corner, cameras, if you want to stop your videos until we get around the corner, by all means you can do that. I do want to get footage from all 3 cameras of the cemetery.
Oh, yes, please, all over it.
That sign that I told you guys about is right here. Let me get all 3 cameras over on this side. ears on focus for sure. So you guys see like the crosshead stone off in the distance back there? So Sue's grave is one to the left and back one more. So when you guys get like up next to the runner and gate there, like just try to be as still as possible. And then just kind of move it so you can jump up if you want to.
I'm not sure if it's like the.
Yeah, I think it just might be this thing.
It's
There's
square.
nothing over here.
Yeah, I think it's just looking at this one.
I would agree.
You guys see the light up there to the left? They put that light up there so people like me wouldn't come up here with all these cameras. Like we would get light flares, like the church put those up there. on purpose.
like that.
Yep, exactly.
Graduate?
You're gonna get a little bit of things coming up with the trees on yours. Just so you know. But the more still you are, the more we'll be able to tell if like somebody's walking behind the tree and comes out the other side. Like that would be super exciting.
Go check.
I'm gonna go show that job later. We're being so super still. I think she fell asleep.
Healer?
Good doctor as well. It's a vague stretch, but you see what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Who's the healer? It's a healer. Who's the healer?
Monday night. I wish we had said that like 3 seconds ago.
Shoot, you know
I seen
who
the X.
Yeah,
That's
it's
kinda like-
DRX. Preparing.
Preparing. Preparing for what?
Preparing for what?
Follow up.
9.1. Right here. Probably 3 seconds.
Church. Yeah.
Did you get anything else? No, I haven't got anything since healer. Yours?
It's spelled out P-U-F-F.
Is it a man or a woman? Obviously a man.
Right? You spell puff too, right?
Okay.
Got anything interesting? No?
Feeling that
Any
something
three-letter
that
word,
way.
because I'm still learning about
I love general feeling.
I like how y'all have that, man. Because you can hear the specific words so well.
That's our act.
Hey, there's a lot of just gibberish.
I feel like you're getting a little bit more out of that than I was. Because I was like, I just can't understand anything. I don't know what it's saying.
Oh,
Mhm.
Paul speaks in English.
Yeah, this, so it's like, it's running through a bunch of radio stations, so mostly what you hear is like little tiny pieces of songs.
How's
or
our camera
people
work going?
singing, but
Getting
every
tired?
once in a while,
Holding your
you'll
cameras up?
actually
A little.
get, like,
Figure we're about down here. It looks like there's other tours
word.
looking to come up.
So,
I'd say let's go ahead and get those
it's
stopped.
kind
Kind of see what we got going on.
But
I'm going to take us across the street and then kind of explain there, and they're screaming because that's how they hear it. We try not to do that. Just try to say things at a nice even tone. If you're too loud, they're going to tap you on the shoulder, slide down just a little bit. I'll give them a cue for that. When we're done, because again, I do time this for about 10 to 12 minutes just based on what's happening, they're going to tap you on the leg. Take off your own gear. I will never touch it. So just kind of keep that in mind. We will be telling you everything as you hear it, including yes, no answers. So you don't know if I'm asking our ghost if I'm wearing a black vest just to verify that he's here. So the only thing you know at this point is that he is a male. Because I've already mentioned the word male several times. But again, once you guys get under, it is 11:11. Crank up your volume and leave it alone, so that way we know you're not cheating.
While you were over there, I heard don't talk to a woman.
Said don't talk to a woman. Yeah, he's not always happy when I have females on his bench. He's that kind of person. So we're going to see what we can get out of. This should be very interesting. So Adam, with yours, obviously, have you been in virtual reality before? Okay, so this is not going to be Jurassic Park eating your face off, just so you know. This is going to be a galaxy off in the distance, just so you don't fall asleep. We're going to see some stars moving around, and every once in a while, a picture will show up in front of it. You're going to describe what that picture is in simple terms. 3 dudes on a bench with a tree. In the event that they're not giving me much, which might not be a problem, I will ask you probing questions like, what do you see? What's funny is we actually have an image generating right now. I'm going to try to stay focused on it. I'm just going to get this set up so that we'll get you started. But gentlemen, blindfolds, headphones, crank your volumes up, and I will ask a few silly questions just to make sure that you are under. You have a focus right here. I don't know how often you use these, but in case you get in there and it's blurry, just turn the dial so it becomes more clear. And then you have 2 thumb push buttons that move it in and out closer and further away from your face, just in case you need foresight here kind of thing. All you'll have to do is look straight ahead. It will line up with you.
Hey, listen. Hey, a little bit tighter. Come on. Let's talk about the present. Just say the word. Okay, say the word.
So it is 11:12. Let's ask a few silly questions. Gentlemen, what color is a blue banana? Perfect. Can you hear me? All right, Henry. It's funny that I said the Jurassic Park bit. That's so funny. Henry, if you're here, I got a large group here with us tonight. I know there's another large group passing through. Not always your favorite, but let's verify you're here first and foremost. Let's talk about your line of work. Tell us what you did for a living. Henry. Tell us what you did for work. We're also using the blue box tonight. There are 3 gentlemen here, which isn't always a common thing for you. Henry. Let's be more specific about your job. Let's not be generic. Try to find the right word to tell us that you're here. If somebody else came with Henry, let us know by using your code word. Wow, they are super quiet. Henry? Your job, please. What did you do for a living? If you want to change the subject and talk about a family member, you have to tell us. path of like bells out on when I got Henry, what did we just hear out of the church?
Thanksgiving.
He hasn't said anything. No, he hasn't seen anything. But a lot of times when people go underneath when they're listening to that thing, sometimes they forget to tell us what they're hearing as they hear it. Come to destroy us. Emily, you might have to like lift up his earmuff and just remind him to let us know what he's hearing.
Okay.
If you want maybe step behind him.
Make sure you're saying it out loud if you hear something.
Do what?
Make sure you're saying it out loud if you hear something.
Okay. Keep going. Nope. Keep going.
No, I'm
Keep
sorry.
going.
Your
just-
leg was just bouncing. I'm sorry. That was my bad. 20?
Henry, we're looking for verification that you're here. We're not getting much. And we've already been under for 4 minutes. I missed what he said.
Map?
Yeah.
Henry, you've never brought up a map before.
Because he wants.
Absolutely. Okay, that's a clue to me that he wants to talk about his son, who's one of the he's gotten that number here before. And hopefully see where tie that together. Henry, you don't always bring him up, at least directly. Can you tell us your son's name? Or maybe how old he was when he passed? Unfortunately. He's got to tell us the number, Henry. How old was he? Is he less than a year old? Henry? You say name?
It's a tell name.
Good. Not good. Bad. I haven't even seen anything. Wandering around Star Trek 9 in there. Henry, you're starting to tell us about your son. Can you give us his full name? Weird name to be hearing on the radio though. Leonard. Brad's saying he's speaking up really low.
You want me to tell him to say it louder?
Yeah, we still got time, so let's get him in there just a little bit louder. I missed like 3 things you mentioned.
Speak a little louder.
I'm gonna quote him right here. Henry, can you give us your son's name? We all know what it is. We're just trying to verify.
Already has. I say like church.
What color is that shirt?
It's yellow. With like red tube over it.
Anything else going on in that picture?
And that's just the church. Like inside the church. He said 14. Did you get that?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if it matches with anything, and I can't find it.
Only the
Unless, of course, it's the address of this church that I don't know what it looks like. Entertainment and travel. Henry, can you give us more images? That seems to be the way we may need to go tonight. Henry.
15.
Henry. Still looking for the original two questions. What your occupation was and what sound did you hear out of the church. Now you gave us an image of a church, but it doesn't match the St. Michael Church across the street where we heard the noise.
You said that.
Well, I thought it came from over here. I'm like, what the heck? It's speaking pretty subtle too.
Thank you. Amen.
What are you counting?
Michael.
Michael Church. What came out of St. Michael? What sound was it? Don't say frog. I mean, we are running out of time. You didn't really give us a whole lot here tonight. Overall wellness. Somebody come here with you? Are they blocking you from talking to us? Oh, we're supposed to get a storm after hurricane. Henry, can you give us one more image? If you give us another image, we'll wrap this up. Say blind? We actually get that word here a lot. Henry, you want to give us another image? There's something funny in the brain. Henry, can you at least tell us goodnight and not be rude about it? A couple years ago. Henry. I'm asking for another image. Have you a love life?
Yeah, love life.
It's like a brick wall with like chains on it or something.
Is it ivy? Or is it definitely like metal chains?
Yeah, it's like almost like rope chains, I guess. There's like two on each side.
What's the noise? Dr. Ladd, are you here with us? That's a yes, no. Is that wall you saw looks like the alley that we were in?
Not really.
Corridor.
Dr. Ladd, if you're here, use that code word. I'll give you another minute. Just to come very well. I'm going to give you another minute, Dr. Ladd. You know what your code word is. You can even show us an image to represent that color. I'll take that. It's a little bit of validation. Yeah, I'm testing you.
responsibility.
Dr. Ladd and Henry going once. Going twice.
Understand.
Alright, Emily, go ahead and tap him out. Let's go ahead and tap him. Did he really?
Yeah, he did say understand doctor.
Understand what?
Doctor.
Oh.
Dr. Ladd, what was your address?
I wanted to know it was amazing.
What was your address? Adam, do you remember the green church that you saw? Or the yellow church?
350?
Yeah.
It was 59. The yellow church, did it have green shutters on it? Do you remember?
No.
Okay. TikTok. Yeah, this is like over the time I normally spend. Dr. Ladd, another opportunity
Justice.
to give us your address, or you can tell us the color of your house, like you did earlier. Going once, twice. All right, Emily, now you're up. Go ahead and tap him out. Go ahead and get Brian out of there. How you feeling there?
Do what?
Yeah, we're calling
Good?
it.
Okay.
So, Brian, with yours, you have a button next to your volume. I want you to click it in the opposite direction so it stops the recording. We're going to take a look at these images that Adam saw in here to see if anything kind of matches up. This is this is like a what I would call slightly successful, only because we got a little bit more than what we were actually asking for, if you get my point. Obviously the whistling sound, the word doctor, and then he said the word 50. So again, I was asking for an address. It was 59. It's a close but no cigar, but it's still, we don't know what else was being missed. So here's the images. You guys might want to huddle around for this so you guys can see these. Obviously, you didn't see this one because this is what was generating when I put it into the headset. So looks like we have like kind of like a priest on an apocalyptic style picture. So these are generated from AI with the EMF around us. So just kind of like what your device does, it takes that and turns the binary code into an image.
Wow.
When I go through these images, I also run them through Google Lens. So if I miss something, Google Lens will be able to tell me like what's going on with that image. So sometimes I found some clues in there like that. So we actually had, what's going on here? We had 4 images grand total, so that's about the average. Wow, that is weird.
Are those the vert things you were talking about?
That's what it was when it first went in.
I mean, this almost looks like the innards of a computer or an old phone or something. Like a lot of little Tesla coils are matched up in there. I don't know if you guys can see that. So this is weird. Like, I don't know what this is at all. Like, so I'm just gonna put that out there. I have no clue what this is. Next image. There's your yellow church with a long corridor. Didn't you get the word corridor?
Yeah.
So it's got a red rope kind of tied up in there. So that might make it signifier of what type of church it was, but don't most churches use red rope kind of things out? So I wouldn't count this. I've actually had churches show up here that look just like St. Michael's, and I know you said the word Michael, but it wasn't around the time that this came up. So it's kind of a wishy-washy type of thing. So we'll see what goes on with that.
A scroll?
I didn't know what that was. That was a brick wall, I said.
Cuneiform tablet?
I mean, that's my first thought. But there's also almost like the wicker basket on the bottom. Like that's what I'm seeing there at the bottom.
Yeah.
So
You know what it makes me think of? Back before they had like those like the really old music makers.
Yeah.
You just had the reel that had the holes in it that
Okay.
would spin through to make noise.
Yep, I see where you're going with that.
I don't know if that's what it is, but
yeah.
that's what I thought.
Well, this is why I love showing you guys these images, because again, I'm not too, ignorant to say like I don't know what that is or whatever it is. So we'll kind of see what happens when I put these all through Google Lens. the answers that came out of this, I would call it slightly successful. Like, we weren't getting who I thought we were going to be talking to. We actually got things from Dr. Ladd, whose house is right around the corner, the guy from the Duelers Alley. So again, it was kind of an interesting piece of how it just kind of shifted all of a sudden, where all of the answers were coming up were around Dr. Ladd. We got nothing relevant to Henry. I mean, we had a 24 that showed up, and then you had 14, and then a few minutes later you had 15, and then another minute or two later you had the number 16. It was almost like he was counting. I was like, what the hell is he counting the paces?
Maybe.
But they only take 10 paces, so why would we be at 14, 15, and 16? And then didn't we get the number 20?
I got 20th.
20th.
When did I get that? Let me see. I think I got that towards the very beginning.
Okay. Because I guess the other piece that kind of jogs my memory about that is like thinking of the paces. 20 paces, which is 10 in the opposite direction, is exactly 50 feet apart if you're going in military paces. So you did say the number 50, even though I was asking about the address. So again, it's a weird tie. So again, I'm kind of on the fence. I want to go through the last bit of the recording to kind of see what comes up out of this. Overall, I would say that we are on either the lower end of an average night, just so you guys have that idea, or on the higher end of a below average night. So we're probably like right within that cusp. I don't know what I'm going to find when I get back to the office. But here's what's going to happen is I'm going to, are you guys feeling okay, by the way?
Yeah.
Sometimes people get a little woozy being underneath there. But I'm going to have you guys get, yeah, some people get really, I've had people go under seizures with this. Notice I didn't write anything down.
Ambulance.
No, of course. I've had people like hyperventilate where we've had to get them out like quickly. Like, this can be a dangerous thing. So I don't write anything down, and I stay focused on their breathing, the whole 9 yards. But anyway, so I'm going to have you guys get up, and I'm going to set my bag down, and you guys can set your equipment on top of the bag, and I'll pack it all away once I give you guys directions back to your car. But when I